So technologic innovation has transformed media and its roles in the lives of infants and young children. So we need to ask ourselves, is it something that the nation and the world needs to address? The influence of media on the health and development of children from ages 0 to 5. It's a time of critical brain development, building secure relationships, and establishing health behaviors. The amount of time we spend on screens, which includes televisions, computers, tablets, and phones at home, that's wreaking havoc on our brains, our bodies, and our personal relationships. Research is only beginning to show us what those changes in consumption mean for the human brain. But one thing is for certain, they are literally changing the way we think and develop. In Media and Young Minds 2016, we are told children younger than 2 years need hands-on exploration and social interaction to develop their cognitive, language, motor, and social emotional skills. Because of their immature symbolic memory and attentional skills, infants and toddlers cannot learn from traditional digital media as they do from interactions with caregivers. And they have difficulty transferring that knowledge to their three-dimensional experience. The chief factor that facilitates toddlers learning from commercial media, starting around 15 months of age, is parents watching with them and reteaching the content. So let's also remember the screen time at bedtime can be detrimental to sleep. Besides the increased media exposure, even blue screen can affect a child's sleep when we leave the TV on at night.
Hey, what's wrong with this magazine? It's not working right. Is my poker working? Yep. Just this iPad is broken. Hey kids, parents, and everybody else. Trace here for D News with some insight into the evils of the screens around you. A study was released this week in the Archives of Disease in Childhood that states it's completely okay for your kid to watch more than 3 hours of TV a day. How do you feel about that? According to Nielsen's cross-platform report from March this year, we are watching about 34 hours of TV per week as it is. That's 4.85 hours a day. That just seems bad. Experts are split on the matter, especially when you add touchscreen phones and tablets into the mix. The problem with screen devices and their effect on development is a child born the same day the iPhone came out would only be 5 years and 8 months old. The iPad only came out in 2010, and psychologists need like 3 to 5 years before they can formulate any kind of real strategy. Social interaction is really what children need. Regardless of your agreed upon level of television and screen exposure, all researchers agree that parents need to be present and available. That means turning your phone off when you're hanging out with your kids, not using the iPad as a babysitter, but as a teacher, and learn alongside your children. The consensus seems to be that prior to age 2, children should have no access to screens. None. No touchy. No touch. We adults love our screen devices, but we're not craving to understand how interaction works. Babies are craving that. From birth to age 3, the number of synapses in the brain grows from 2,500 to over 15,000, and interactive doesn't mean educational. From 2 to 12 and up, kids learn how to understand cues and symbols. They learn operational logic, and they start to grasp abstract thought. And that is where a screen can actually help kids learn these concepts. These devices and screens can be good for development. 77% of parents said their iPad helped their children improve their vocabulary, but without the parent being present and interacting, the whole thing goes to pot. The problem with screen devices is that they're two-dimensional. Adults already understand texture. We understand shadow and smell and shape and weight and all that other stuff. But kids need to grasp these concepts. Literally, they've got to grasp them. And that's why playing with plastic toys and blocks is good for kids. It helps babies and children learn the physical world around them. And a touch screen only pretends to be that real world. What do you think? Are kids getting too much screen time or too little screen time? Share your thoughts down in the comments. Unless, of course, you're under 2 years old. And then what are you doing here? Go play with some blocks. Thanks for tuning in to D News today. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our shows. And find us on Twitter at D News and Facebook and Google Plus as well. I'm Trace. Thanks again. See you next time.
Okay, so my name is Jasbet Perez Gutierrez, and Debbie already taught us a little bit about the impact of technology in babies. Now I'm gonna focus on older kids. So as you can see in the screen, this is a research made by a company named Comscore. And these are some statistics about how much time kids spend on their computers, their tablets and smartphones. And if you notice, the numbers are really, really high. But the problem here is the impact that this time has on the kids. And we're gonna watch some of the outcomes that the technology causes in kids, like the video games, the internet, and TVs. So let's check it. And I wrote the word possible because there are a lot of opposing points of view. So let's check. Some of the positive outcomes could be, first, TV and some educational programs could prepare children for school, like with this curiosity of start reading and learning the numbers. But something curious is that a negative impact is that it reduces the interest and practice in reading. So in one hand, the technology help us to have this curiosity, but since we get too caught up in watching TV or doing those kind of stuff, it reduces the interest of kids in practice reading. Another positive aspect is learning of new vocabulary. This is obvious, like as they listen to their programs, they learn new words. And I want to read this quote from the book we are using, and it says, "Since adult input is essential for language learning, cognitive development is reduced by video time. Infants are most likely to understand and apply what they have learned when they learn directly from another person." So TV can teach new vocabulary, but kids learn and retain better when an adult teaches them. Another possible positive consequence is that it may have long-term positive consequences, like better grades at school, since the kids have advantage from basic school. But a negative aspect may be that technology may prevent children from participating in another activities like sports or some other things. And another positive aspect could be that it reduces aggression when the program teaches strategies to impulse control or conflict resolution. But in the other hand, it could also be that children learn aggressive behavior when violent content is watched. So if you notice, all these positive and negative outcomes don't depend on the technology per se, but in some other factors that we will see. So more than being against or in favor of technology, we need to consider that the age is one of the factors that make positive or negative the use of technology and video games. The time the kids spend doing these activities also is an important factor. In the TV content, the internet content is also a huge factor. Like as I said before, if they are watching violence, they will imitate those things. And parental supervision is something important as well. When parents involve in the activities with their kids, they can gain more benefits from technology. And of course, this is obvious, but when we are watching TV or when we are on internet, we are not doing other things. So we need to consider what activities are being replaced by our time watching TV or any other similar activity. So finally, I would finish with these quotes that I really like. So the first one says, yes, kids love technology, but they also love Legos, scented markers, handstands, books, and mood puddles. It's all about balance. And the other quote says, you can't upload love, you can download time. You can Google all of life's answers. You must actually live some of your life. So as we have been talking about, Debbie and I conclude that technology could be good or bad depending on our decisions.